Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us. This is a bit of a new venture for us at Barks and Bucks, and is really the opportunity for us to launch sustainability as a conversation and as a key priority for us at the County FA. So thank you very much for giving up your time and joining us. It's great to see so much engagement and so many clubs out there wanting to contribute in this space and wanting to learn more about it. And so we hope that the course of the next 45 minutes to an hour or so will be helpful in that and give some good ideas about how we can take this space forward. Just to do some introductions, first of all, I'll let Fiona introduce herself first of all.
Lovely, thanks, Alistair. And great to have you all on the webinar this evening. I'm Fiona Hyde. By day, I'm Head of Sustainability at Santander UK. And by night, I'm an independent director focusing primarily on sustainability with Barks and Bucks FA. I've been working in sustainability for nearly 20 years now across a variety of sectors, not always in financial services. And it's really great to have been, over the last couple of years, dipping my toe in the world of grassroots football. It's been a real eye-opener. And it's been great to bring along some of my other skills from my other roles from the past and bring them to life in a new format. So it's a pleasure to be with you all today, and we'll come on to the reason why we're here shortly. But Alistair, back to you.
Brilliant, thanks, Fiona. And for those who don't know me, my name's Alistair Kay. I'm Head of Governance at Barks and Bucks. So I've been in post for about 9 years, and I have about 2 weeks left because unfortunately I'm going to be leaving the County FA shortly. However, over the course of the last 6 months or so, I've been kind of working to really try and pull together some of the sustainability work and get it off the ground as a bit of a project. So we're, as I say, launching it this evening, and it will be handed over internally to somebody else to progress as we go forward. Right. Let me come on to what we are planning to cover this evening. So I'm going to pass back to Fiona shortly to talk through kind of the genesis of why sustainability, why now, and why us, why it's important for us at a county FA level, and hopefully important for yourselves at a club level, and then talk through around kind of what this first year of our strategy looks like. I'm then going to pick up a bit of information around the impact of football and the environment in Barks and Bucks, and start looking at some of those practical tips for clubs and competitions about actually what we can be doing to help reduce some of our carbon impact. After that, I'm going to touch briefly on some initiatives the FA have got, and these are particularly for 3-star clubs at the moment, but it's going to be coming down into 2-star and 1-star clubs in the future. And then we really want to look forward around some of those next steps. So we're going to be talking around a new initiative we're launching, the Eco Club Pledge, and a Green Leadership Award, and also what's not on the slides, but should be, which is our sustainability network, where hopefully yourselves on the call will be able to kind of spend some more time connecting with each other, feeding back to us at the county, helping shape this journey going forward. Perfect. So over to you, Fiona.
Thanks very much. So just to open up the session this evening, I think we just really wanted to start by just outlining, I guess, the big picture. And I think it's becoming more increasingly obvious the impact that climate change is having across all facets of society, including grassroots football. And we just feel that Barks and Bucks FA can take a leadership role in this and fostering meaningful change within our community. We obviously support over 3,000 teams and around 35,000 weekly participants. Alistair, I hope I've got those stats right, and you correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I don't want to give it away because we'll be seeing that later.
And you know, the scope of reach that we have is huge. And we've spent quite a lot of time considering how we should approach this. But I think, you know, some of the key stats, and there was a report from Sport England, which was published in October last year, which had some key stats. And I just wanted to share those with you now. The 120,000 matches are lost each year due to extreme weather, and that's primarily due to heavy rain and flooding. And I'm sure you've all experienced a bit of that in the last few weeks. 1/3 of pitches lose up to 2 months of playable time annually, impacting both facilities and scheduling. And rising temperatures and heat waves pose health and safety risks, especially during summer months. Now, I guess, you know, there's other impacts related to climate which can also impact on health, for example. So, you know, we're trying to promote cleaner air, essentially, less pollution. So that obviously has health benefits as well. And obviously, if people and players are losing time playing in matches each week, that's obviously going to have an implication on people's health as well. And there was a recent BBC News article that's on the screen there that really brought that to life. Now, I think, for us, we have spent some time thinking about our own ESG strategy. And I guess, we're well covered on the S with our Inclusion Advisory Group, and on the G for governance, which Alistair in his role has been leading on. But we definitely had a bit of a gap in terms of how we address the E in ESG, so the environmental aspects. Alistair's been doing some great work with BBFA. First of all, thinking about their own operational impact. So he's spent some time using a widely available carbon calculator to assess the organisation's own footprint and thinking about ways in which to reduce that. And then, of course, we thought, how can we actually engage with our players and with the clubs and the leagues and the whole network, essentially. And having thought of a number of solutions, we really wanted to focus on how we can raise awareness of the impacts and risks and challenges that changing climate can bring, offer practical support to our clubs and leagues. And we also wanted to make sure that we recognise leadership in that space as well, because everybody is essentially on a different stage of this journey. And, I think there's probably lots of activity going on within the network that we really want to bring to life. And again, I don't want to spoil too much of what's to come, so I'll pause there. But ultimately, one key message is that these efforts really align with the FA's commitment as well to reduce emissions, promote resilient facilities, and engage with our communities in climate action as well. So just next slide there, Alistair. Thank you. So ultimately, I'm sorry, I've covered most of this, but I think the one thing that we really want to do today is get your buy-in to raise awareness and get your commitment as well. And ultimately that will lead on then to celebrating your success. So I'll stop there and I'm going to hand over to Alistair for the details.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I should say as well, actually, as we're going through, if you do have any questions, there's both a Q&A function and a chat function. So please feel free to pop a question in the chat and we'll try and pick them up as we go through. I also, and it's remiss of me, I forgot to introduce, we have Harry Neville, our club development officer, on the call as well, who will be helping kind of steer some of this and just keep an eye on the chat and that as we go through. Right, so we want to look at that environmental impact in Berks and Bucks, and across the county FA, we've got quite a wide reach. We are the 6th largest county FA in England, one of 50, and based on the latest data available to us, we've got approximately 70,000 players playing in 4,500 teams. Now, we don't have an exact figure, but kind of working through kind of peak weekends across the season and the data we do have, we think that equates to about 50,000 matches each season. And in addition to a wide network of artificial pitches, we've got 1,500 grass pitches across the county. Now, why is this important? This is where I really hope that the settings work with the slide presentation. If I go to the next one, it isn't all revealed. Tell me, Fiona, has it revealed everything, or is it showing the blue squares?
It now is, yeah, it's now showing it.
It's got everything shown there. Okay, yeah. Perfect. We're not going to do it as a game then. It had been planned. This would be nice and interactive, and I'd be asking you all to kind of see how you thought that would play out in terms of what our impact is on football. So this is useful to know for future reference. But as I say, we've got 70,000 players here in Berks and Bucks. We've calculated that we think this works out over the course of a regular football season to approximately 8.4 million bottles of water being used each season. Now, Fiona always tells me anytime I quote any kind of statistics like this or try to do any kind of calculation, it has to be grounded in facts. I have to explain myself. So that figure of 8.4 million bottles of water is based on 70,000 players taking part in 20 matches and 40 training sessions per season and using 2 bottles of water per session. I wouldn't say it's particularly scientific, but it's based on kind of anecdotal and kind of what we would expect to see based on our, hopefully, kind of deep understanding of grassroots football. So we reckon it's about 8.5 million bottles of water being used each year. We also found some statistics that on average, 86% of journeys in the UK are taken by personal motor vehicle. So again, if we look at that figure of 20 matches and 40 training sessions and 70,000 players, that works out at just over 7 million car journeys just within us as a county FA. Mentioned 50,000 teams, 50,000 matches being played each year. That's obviously 2 teams per match. And hopefully, we would hope, the teams are washing the kits after every game. So again, we're looking at least 100,000 loads of washing just from fixtures. That's not really including referees or training sessions. So that's probably a conservative estimate there. We also have data around the amount of fertilizer that is used on or recommended for every grass pitch over the course of a 12-month period. And across the 1,500 grass pitches, we think that works out at 1,000 tons of fertilizer. Now, Fiona mentioned the statistics around the amount of football matches that are lost each season. And we have a market share of across the country of 4.2% of football pitches, which we think means we lose around 2,600 matches every single season due to climate related causes. So as you can see, that may sound a bit negative, but we do have some positive there, which is across those 1,500 grass football pitches, we are absorbing tons and tons. I can't see the figure because it's too small. I think that's about 18,000 tons of carbon dioxide each year, which is the equivalent of 30,000 return flights to Munich. So you may think that grassroots football is a relatively small industry, has a small impact on the environment or on climate change. But actually, when you start scaling it up, as I say, yes, we're the 6th largest county, but we're about 4% or thereabouts of kind of the market share across the country. So scale all of those up across the FA and across the whole of grassroots football in England, and you start seeing that, yes, we do have quite a big impact on the environment. And that is why we have embraced it as this key strategy for us, and believe that it is something that across the whole football community, we need to come together to start taking action and to start trying to minimize the impact that we may have through hopefully some simple, some cost-effective best practices, leading all the way up to perhaps more significant infrastructural changes. Right. This is where I think I've been undone by my animations again, because there should be 3 on here. So bear with me for 1 second, and I'll see if I can find another way just to find this information out for you. We're all aware, whilst I do this, of the kind of that triptych of reduce, reuse, recycle as kind of those key fundamental principles about actions that individuals and organizations can take to help reduce some of their environmental impact, the carbon impact that we have. And so we're going to try and walk through each one of these in turn. I'm guessing, looking at my screen here, that it's recycle that's come up, which is not what I was intending, because we're going to miss the other ones. But in terms of easy steps that we think that grassroots football clubs up and down the county and up and down the country can take around recycling, things like doing litter pickups after games to help make sure that recyclable materials aren't just ending up in general trash, or even worse, ending up just residing there as litter, but are in fact being put in the correct recycling, going to the correct waste facility, so that actually they can go back into new materials and be disposed of properly. Likewise, if you have some equipment which is still usable but you no longer need, again, rather than just throw it away, there's opportunities there to donate that used equipment either to charity shops or to do things like boot banks, recycle kit within the club, to make sure that actually some of that material, rather than going into landfill, going to waste, is being kind of reused and passed down across different teams. Likewise, if you are a club that is perhaps a little bit larger, is one that's you've got your own facilities, you may want to look at making sure you're using compostable cutlery and plates or recyclable materials rather than strictly disposable ones. Again, it may take a little bit of higher investment in it. It'd probably be a little bit more expensive than the non-recyclable materials, but it gives that opportunity to start having that impact. And finally, kind of coming back probably to that first point around recycling, making sure that where you do have recycling bins, and I think we're all terrorists for this probably, that those bins are clearly labelled. You're increasingly seeing bins that kind of have different compartments, different sections, different holes for different materials to try to promote that. Where we're based at the County FA in our office, we also have down in the cafe, we've got a kind of travel cup recycling point. So actually we can put lids in one section, the cup in another section, disposal fluids in another section, and just prompts everybody to make sure we're doing the best we can to make sure that those materials are being separated appropriately and going to the correct place. Now, what you won't be able to see on the screen is the other items and the other points. You will get them in slides afterwards. But when we talk around reduction and reducing consumption, again, this is almost where we can take zero cost impact. So it shouldn't hit the club in the purse strings, but things like encouraging players to make sure that when they are traveling to games, whether it's home games or away games, they're car sharing. They're getting lifts, they're going together rather than 15 players taking 15 different vehicles to get there. Additionally, you can encourage cycling or public transport links and work with local governments to try to promote those, making sure you've got cycle routes, clearly lit routes, public transport links to the training ground or to the match day ground. If you are a club that has a clubhouse and you are able to serve food, making sure there's vegetarian options available. Meat is one of the biggest sources of emissions, both in terms of growing the grain to feed the livestock themselves, what they consume and the amounts of emissions they put out. So actually, if you can offer vegetarian options and try to encourage people to eat meat-free options, it starts making an impact on some of those emissions up and down that chain. Again, looking at avoiding single-use plastic with those recyclable materials, or encouraging people to take their own cups or and glasses to games, and then going paperless. The FA obviously have an awful lot of really good, he says, registration tools available now through Club Portal, through Matchday. Gives an opportunity for clubs to do more and more of their work online rather than requiring paper records, and again trying to promote that as much as possible throughout the club. It is possible to go paperless. We've pretty much done it at the County FA. I think we use it feels about like we use one ream of paper a year now between 20 staff, and that it takes a little bit of a culture change but can have a significant impact further down the line. Coming to the third one there around reuse, I've already mentioned around potentially offering discounts for people bringing their own cups. Really easy to do when it comes to kind of travel coffee mugs. Again, you may want to look into whether it's possible to do reusable beer cups, the type you may have seen at the cricket or at some of the football grounds in the Premier League, where it's a tougher plastic. May have some negatives, but actually you can use them over and over and over again. And then obviously without the risk of broken glass. Again, in terms of reusing, we've talked around boot bags, we've talked around handing down kit. So hopefully you start seeing there's all of these low cost, high impact practices that clubs can adopt to start really thinking about reducing their carbon impact. If you are a facility owner, there's then some slightly larger major projects or infrastructural changes that you can explore. Some of this, there are grants available both through the FA and through private businesses as well, or through the Premier League Stadia Fund and so forth. But things like installing EV chargers and solar panels, energy saving equipment, things like motion sensors or timers on some of your smaller items or on the lighting. Outside of the facility itself, looking at planting new trees or trying to get wildflowers and rewilding some of it, again, because that helps with the carbon capture. Rainwater capture systems as well, so we're using less of the less water coming in through the water companies, which obviously requires treatment, requires energy to go into that. And another a suggestion which actually came out of a conversation that Fiona and I had a couple of weeks ago with the founders of Pledgeball, which was around hosting repair cafes as a really good way of engaging both with the local community, raising the profile of the club, but encouraging people to come in and rather than dispose of, a broken toaster or minor electrical item like that, actually have a repair cafe where people can come in, have those items fixed, reuse them again. Also, whilst they're at the ground, they're then going to be learning more about the club. They may be buying concessions, buying coffee and that. So it kind of has quite a few knock-on benefits to the club exploring options like that. And for those who are competitions, whether it's a club or a league, or hosting your summer tournaments over for the club over the summer, got some suggestions here as well. So things like planning the finals venues or the venue for the tournament to try to reduce travel based on the teams that are going to be taking part in it. Alternatively, you might look at choosing finals venues that are committed to reducing their environmental impact, that have some of those items that we discussed in the previous slide around EV chargers, solar panels, that have meat-free options and so forth. You may also want to look at incentivizing spectators to use public transport, and again, choosing grounds that have accessible links so that people aren't required to drive. Every spectator is not required to take their own car there. They've got that option of public transport or, non-motor options for traveling there, whether that's walking or cycling. Another option around scheduling the fixtures for daytime to avoid floodlight usage. Obviously, that's a key drain on electricity. And what we're increasingly beginning to see is around use of sustainable medals or trophies. So rather than the old metal ones, a number of tournaments, a number of events are beginning to do sustainable wood medals. You lose that clink, I will admit that, the joy of that, but actually it is better in the long run, obviously. I do a number of kind of fun runs and things like that, and we're beginning to see more and more of those using the wooden options going forward. Now, one of the things we're really keen to do is find out from yourselves about what else we can do or clubs can be doing, because we're sure that there's an awful lot of really great practice going on across the county. It's just maybe we're not aware of it yet. So everybody should be able to unmute if you would like to, and we'd be really keen to hear about what you're doing in your clubs. What have we missed in those preceding slides that you'd like to shout about that you're currently doing within your club? And I've seen a couple of comments being made in the chat. I just haven't had a chance to look through them yet. Is there anyone that kind of wants to share some best practice and share what you're doing?
And just to kick it off, Alistair, I've just posted in the chat that there's lots of, going back to the tree planting and rewilding, I just posted that there's lots of great examples of clubs doing this, and with various partners. Often local councils will support with this as well. They often get quite a big batch of trees as part of wider tree planting measures. But yeah, it's really important as well. I mean, it really helps support with nature and biodiversity, especially, which is another key element and a big consideration when thinking about environmental impact. So yeah, just to get the ball rolling.
Perfect. And Alan's just come in saying Marston Vale have very good tree planting options available there as well. And if that is something that's of interest, maybe less around the trees, but around kind of wildflower and rewilding, stay tuned, because we may have some support that we can offer in that that we'll be talking through a little bit later on.
Just quickly, Alistair, sorry, just to jump in. Hi all. Just to quickly jump in on that, round where I live, we've got a couple of clubs who've really tapped into local schools with the tree planting and rewilding. Just in terms of, they tend to be recreational spaces a lot of the time, football pitches, that are in or relatively close to schools. And so there's a couple of schools around us that have really utilize the opportunity to almost have like not so much a forest school, but a real kind of, planting day or flowers kind of day, which I think is a really great way as also to build your clubs into the local community. I know obviously a lot of clubs have that privilege at the minute, but it's a really easy and quick way that obviously massively benefits the club and give the school something a bit different.
No, absolutely. I was going to say as well, there's pretty much every local district will have an affiliate of the Wildlife Trust. And I know we're fortunate as well that across Berks and Bucks, we're part of, I think it's BBAL, Berkshire, Bucks and Oxfordshire Wildlife Trust. So again, there's opportunities to collaborate with them around some of the initiatives that they've got going on. Sorry, Fiona, you were about to come in with something.
No. I was just filling in your Wildlife Trust acronym.
Thanks.
I was going to say that Amanda posted. She's just mentioning that she's never seen any EV chargers at any sites. So she said she's going to mention this at her next committee meeting for their ground in particular. And I can't say. I mean, I have 3 children that play in various locations, and I can't think I've ever seen an EV charger as well. So and probably something quite important to get installed for those that are able to, considering we're slowly shifting to EVs in the UK. I don't know if anybody else has got any examples where they've seen EVs at sites. Maybe there's definitely an opportunity there, isn't there?
Hi Fiona, it's Amanda. Hello there.
Right.
Amanda.
Hi. Yeah, so I've been at Holy Trinity 18 months now, and I've got an electric vehicle, hence why I've got the eye for looking when there is an EV charger. To be fair, have I needed one going local ground? Probably not, because obviously away from home it's a lot more expensive. But if we had those, now we're starting to go a bit wider into Bucks with the girls playing matches. It's just a better option for sustainable travel, and it's nice to have the people that have the electric vehicles to car share, because there's no fumes going, everyone's in the electric car. And then, do you charge with them EV chargers, because they cost money to go into the ground, right? And our club's going to do that. Our ground is owned by the parish council, so is it part of their credentials to do that for the public? I think they should. Whether they charge or not is a different story, but I've never seen them, and I really do feel it would help, especially for away matches as well. So I will definitely be raising that on the committee when we meet up. Also with water, I don't remember seeing refillable water stations at many places. I'm always carrying my water bottle that I love filling up, but instead I have to buy a bottle if I don't take my own, like when I need to refill. So I think that's a big part of football. Everyone needs to drink their water, and if clubs do that, we'll stop having to pick up those plastic bottles on the grass. So there's quite a few things that I've been looking at, and now I've been invited onto the committee. I think I'm really going to support our club with loads of different things, even with the kit. There's so many different options with kits, and there's lots, but I'm quite pleased to be part of the committee and listening to you guys, because I'm going to take a lot away and try and get it into the whole club, not just the girls' teams.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Amanda. And yeah, you make some really good points there, and I think there's probably opportunity to speak to local parish councils as well, a lot of whom are thinking about their own sustainability plans as well.
Yeah,
you made a good point there in terms of sustainable travel more broadly, potentially more opportunity for bike storage to try and encourage people maybe to cycle to matches, those that aren't too far away, of course, but that's another idea. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't want to tie the players out too much before they're even going to even kick the ball. Alan's made a very good point that clubs can also make money from installing EV chargers, depending on access and usage. So whilst it may not be the best for many clubs, it can earn some revenue for others. And that's absolutely true. And particularly if you kind of combine the EV chargers with the solar panels, so you're not paying for the electricity to charge the vehicles, you've got that opportunity for the revenue as well. It will very, very dependent, obviously, on usage, on what type of facility you have, and what your leasehold or freehold may well be. But obviously, every club will be different. But we just want to get the conversation started. It's brilliant to kind of see so many people kind of engaging with that and exploring whether it is an option or not. I'm going to come on now to in some support that the FA can offer. And apologies if you saw the presentation reset briefly there. That was also to try to avoid issues I've had with the with the animations later on. But I'm going to introduce just an initiative that the FA have put together with E.ON, which is around creating sustainable future for grassroots clubs, and how E.ON works that E.ON are going to be doing around helping clubs reduce their bills and manage their usage. So I'm hoping, I haven't had much success with the presentation so far tonight, that you will be able to see a video and hopefully hear the sounds as well. If you don't hear the sound, somebody please Fiona wave and let me know, and I'll see what we can do. So the Green Again project launched in November, and it's currently only available for 3-star clubs. But as I say, the FA are hoping to kind of expand that to 2- and 1-star clubs in the near future. Clubs can apply and to sign up, and in doing so, they can apply for an energy monitor and digital timers for some of the major items. So the energy monitors are little adapters you put on a plug, almost like a if you ever use kind of the manual dial timers so that the lights come on and off when you're on holiday. It looks a bit like that. So you plug your item into that, and then you plug the adapter into the wall, but it monitors usage and will be able to kind of tell you how much individual items are using over the course of a day or a week. They'll also do digital timers for major items, and the example they've given is around kind of bottle fridges in clubhouses, things that don't necessarily need to be kept chilled 24/7 because they're not perishable, but obviously you want them to be cool when it comes to match day. Clubs can also apply for an energy audit, and so this is where E.ON engineers will come through and do a full site review, looking at the amount of usage and where savings can be made. So provide full guidance on improving the club environment. What they will do as well is there's opportunities for further funding for infrastructural upgrades. However, with those, it's not like some of the other projects where a club may go off and get 3 or 5 different quotes for an item and then contract the individual themselves. Rather than give the clubs the funding for it, what the FA and E.ON will be doing through this is they will be effectively appointing the contractor to do it and paying them directly. But the FA are saying that through this, clubs could save on average around £3,000 per year per club, depending on their energy usage. Information on this is all available on the FA website. I think it is just the fa.com/greenagain. But as I say, if you are one of those larger clubs and you do own your facility, or you do have the ability to kind of impact some of these decisions or install some of this slightly larger these larger upgrades, it's definitely something that is worth exploring. Harry, I know you're still only in about your 3rd week with the county, but have you kind of worked with the FA on the Green Again? Is there anything else you want to add just on this at this point?
No, so I wouldn't say I've done much work on the Green Again just yet. I think what I am keen to do with people on the call and moving forward, probably with yourself, Fiona, as well, with Alistair, with your circumstances, is potentially set up a network here in this space in terms of clubs that are either doing really, really well or wanting to get to a space where they're more sustainable and more sufficient in this space. And I think, you mentioned, I think it was Amanda mentioned earlier about ideas and things. should some of those come off, I'd love to use that as a case study for best practice. So no, not loads of work with the greener game just yet, but that's to come. And I think it would be great to have some sharing of best practice.
Perfect. Hold that thought. We will be coming back to it. So we talked an awful lot around kind of some of these ideas around what we can be doing and some of the help that the FA is providing and kind of why we want to take it forward. Fiona mentioned at the beginning that as part of this first year strategy, in addition to raising awareness and celebrating success, one of the key tenets for us is getting that commitment from clubs. So I'm going to come on to what you can do now. One of the things we're launching over the next, effectively launching tonight, but more details will be coming out on our website next week, and that is our Eco Club Pledge. Now, across the county, we've had a lot of success in recent years around different pledge projects, whether that's around disability football and around inclusion, and we're keen to kind of follow that model and get buy-in and commitment from yourselves around improving sustainability with an Eco Club Pledge. So the strapline is that we are inspiring greener clubs of the future, and it is all very much around trying to make sure that we're able to keep playing football for as long as possible. There are 3 tiers to it, and we've tried to pitch this very much based on the different circumstances that every club will find themselves in. We want to be reaching out as far across the football community as possible, whether you are a one-team club playing in a Sunday league, adult men's league, for example, or you are an 80-team 3-star community club that has a facility, and has that wide reach and those big larger scale opportunities available to you. So, bronze tier, first of all, what we see as zero cost, but hopefully high impact projects. If you were to sign up for the bronze tier of the Eco Club Pledge, you'd be committing to the following: handing down used kit within the club, or donating used kit and equipment so it can be reused or recycled, whether that's to another club, to other teams within your club, or to local organisations and charity shops. Taking part in boot banks and boot swaps, banning the use of single-use plastic water bottles amongst your players, or making sure you do not sell them if you do have a clubhouse, whether that's through an installation of kind of a reusable water fountain, or just through either investing and providing players with water bottles, or just trying to encourage their use as much as possible. Looking at car sharing schemes for training and matches, cycle to training schemes, going paperless, as we mentioned earlier, and then that wider kind of pride of the environment, making sure there's regular litter picks and clean up of pitches to help with recycling. So as I say, zero or low cost initiatives that we think any club, regardless of your circumstances, could adopt. Moving up one level, this is interesting. There we go, silver tier, there we are. Moving up one level, looking at all of those bronze criteria we just discussed, plus looking at discounts on hot drinks for those that bring their reusable cups, installing those appropriate recycling bins we discussed earlier, making sure you're using recyclable cups, plates and cutlery rather than strictly disposable or non-recyclable ones. Doing what you can to reduce electricity and water usage, whether that's through those smarter meters or timers, energy efficient light bulbs and so forth. And then if you do have a pitch, looking at adapting the supplies you're using or the materials you're using to make sure they're environmentally friendly chemicals that we're using on the pitches. So these are the types of projects that may not apply to all clubs, that maybe they don't have their own facilities, or that will need a little bit of more conscious sourcing when we're looking at kind of who our providers are and where we're getting materials from. And then bronze and then silver. Animations are now working. Go figure. And then at the top end, the gold tiers, which are those kind of more major projects. So again, looking to make sure we've got all of those smaller scale bronze and silver projects in place, but then looking at installing electric car charge points, solar panels, timed heating and or lighting and hand dryers. Look at those systems to capture rainwater on the pitch and planting new trees around the ground. I appreciate that the gold tier will be slightly stretching, probably even for clubs with their own facilities. That is no bad thing. we want people to be aiming high. We want gold to be that real gold standard that will take, a little bit more investment and real commitment from a club to achieve. Those that do adopt the pledge, we will obviously celebrate and share that success throughout the football community as well, through our news channels and social channels and so forth. But we've also got digital assets for the clubs, certificates that can go up in the clubhouse and so forth. But again, this kind of really folds back in with that raising awareness, so that you can share that you're going down this journey and hopefully inspire another club to do the same. Now, for the first 20 clubs to sign up, and I know we've got 7 or 8 clubs on the call now, who I really hope will kind of join us on this. We are trying to offer a little bit of an incentive or a little bit of a reward for those first clubs that sign up for the pledge. And this is regardless of whether you're bronze, silver or gold. So we're going to try and start you on that journey through providing litter picking kits, some bee bombs, which are those wildflower seed packets, 50 branded reusable water bottles to share amongst your players and officials as you see fit. And to help with our promotion, we will be sending you a banner as well, which we hope you'll put up at games. So we think that pack for each club works out at about £320, plus or minus VAT, which I forgot to consider when I first budgeted it. But as you say, across the course of those first 20 clubs, we're making sure that we're trying to put our money where our mouth is and invest in the community as well. So that's the Eco Club Pledge project. We will be sending more information out on it to everybody on this call, and then also launching it officially through kind of our news channels and social channels over the course of the next week or so, to capture those that weren't available on here. But obviously, I wanted to make sure that you got the first dibs on it, particularly for those sustainability starter packs for those who want to sign up now. What I'll do, I'm going to pass over to Fiona to talk through the other couple of bits we're doing over the course of the next 6 months with the strategy, and I will pop the link in the chat for those who want to kind of sign up for the pledge project here and now.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Alistair. And yeah, there's small steps with that starter pack, but very meaningful ones as well. And it's just accessible for all, really. So, and a good way to get that conversation going with your clubs as well. So we do hope you'll take that up. But one other thing that we're really, really keen to launch is to create a new sustainable football network. And I think the network groups have generally been introduced since 2022 with BBFA. And yeah, we think now's a really good time to get that conversation going, particularly with those of you that have signed up for the session tonight. We really hope that you'll engage with this. We think it's really important. I have been involved in setting up a number of sort of internal engagement forums more than anything, as well as a couple of external ones as well over the years. And it's always amazing to see how quickly they can grow. And you'll get people from all backgrounds, all ages, all different areas, and to be able to come together and discuss a particular theme, in this case sustainability, and the actions that people either are taking or would like to take, and to get support from others that are in a similar position, is just a really good way to, in an informal setting, just share ideas and get things moving, essentially. And that's what we want to see. We want to see people really picking this up and adopting these measures, speaking with the people in their clubs, but also helping to share the message across the network. The Sustainable Football Network itself will be represented on the Grassroots Football Board, and that's a voluntary role, and there'll be around 2 to 4 meetings per season. I'll very much be involved in those. And we'll obviously have representation from Bucks and Bucks FA as well. But we really want to open that up to those clubs and leagues within the network. So we hope that you'll all participate in that, and of course share the news with others, and get other people involved as well. But ultimately, you'll be there to support, challenge each other, and ensure that we're all supporting each other with delivery of plans as well. And it's an opportunity for us to keep you updated on the actions that we're taking as well. So there'll be more to come on that, and we will be hoping to launch. I've got the timeline coming up, so I'll save that for the grand finale. But the other thing that we're looking to do is, if you go to the next slide, please, Alistair, is to launch a Green Leadership Award as well. I think recognising the efforts that people do, and particularly when people often are doing this off the side of desk, outside of their usual day job, is really, really important. And it takes people like those of you on the call, there'll be many more within our network as well, who are doing things in the space of sustainability that we really want to shout about. So this will form part of the broader awards that Barks and Books FA do annually. We will share the timelines for entry to those, but ultimately we're hoping that off the back of this particular campaign, we'll get some nominations in, and we'll be able to celebrate that success at the awards, which are, Alistair, you need to remind me of the date, sorry, but they are in
end of July. I can't remember if there's a specific date, but yeah, end of July.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So yeah, I guess that's all for me for now. Alistair, I'll hand back to you just to run through those timings in terms of what's coming up.
Perfect. So I just wanted to flag a couple of key dates that are going to be coming up over the next few weeks. A few weeks to months. As Fiona said, we're keen to get the Sustainable Network up and running as soon as possible, and we've kind of identified 6th of March as that first date. So kind of gives us about a month to get people on board and appointed, and then have that first meeting. And I really would encourage you, if you are interested in joining that, to put your names forward. I've sat over the last couple of years on a couple of these different networks and working groups at the County FA, and it really does give an opportunity for the grassroots community to influence what we're doing. We desperately value, or we really value, the input that those people that kind of put their names forward and sit on the groups, value the input that they give us. It really does help shape what we do. We certainly don't know all the answers, and the more that we can engage with yourselves, the more that you can kind of feed back to us what's working, what isn't working, the better our service will be to you. So yeah, please do join if you can. Looking a bit further beyond that, for those of you who may have heard of Green Football Weekend in previous years, that has been rebranded for this season with Green Football's Great Save, and it's also been pushed a bit further back into the season, but is running a bit longer. It always used to be, I think, the first weekend of February or the last weekend of January, but a one-off weekend. It's now a 3-week campaign throughout March into early April. So please keep an eye on that. We're going to be trying to do an awful lot around some of the Eco Club Pledge during that time, try to get out and about across the county and celebrate the success and celebrate what clubs are doing during that period. And then towards the end of April is Earth Day. So again, if you are looking at launching anything within the club or really trying to engage with your members, it's another great kind of well-known global event that you can tie that into quite nicely. So just a few dates coming up between now and the end of the season. And with that, I think that concludes everything that we had for this evening. If anybody's got any questions, please feel free to unmute, pop it in the chat, pop it in the Q&A. I don't know what the difference is between the two of them, but we will try to answer those. If not, if you haven't got any questions, please feel free to log off. I just want to say once again, thank you so much for joining us this evening, giving up your time. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it a little bit inspiring as well. Please sign up for the Eco Club Pledge, because we really want to work with you and celebrate what clubs are doing out there. And this is the best way for us to know about it. But beyond that, thank you very much.
And thank you from me as well. Thanks, everybody. And thanks for the points that you've raised and put in the chat as well. It'd be great to follow up. I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you. Thanks, Alistair.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alistair.
Cheers, Harry.